Thanks for coming today. I guess it's been a good start for us. Obviously, we'd love to be 6-0, but I think the guys have done a good job, really, with their focus. Have done a better job than anticipated this time of year with their attention to detail, understanding scouting reports, and their approach to practice. I think the next phase for us is a level of consistency from start to finish on both ends of the floor. Even though we're scoring the ball at a high level offensively, consistently do a better job of executing, finding open guys, finding shooters, finding who's hot, and also trying to get the ball inside a little bit more. Defense, we got to do a better job with our one-on-one defense more than team defense. I think we got to take pride in getting stops individually.
I think that's ultimately what you're averaging 285th in the country, I think, in like defensive field goal percentage. So that where that concern is more one-on-one.
I think so, one-on-one more than anything, and it's someone that has to do with quick shots on the offensive side of the ball. Teams get out in transition. I think more than anything, just taking pride one-on-one defensively.
I know your guys are well conditioned and you've made them practice tough all season, but that amount of travel from Maui to Michigan with a quick turnaround, does that have any kind of effect? I mean, even for a well-conditioned player?
I mean, I think those guys can answer a little bit better. I know when I was a player, we played in Hawaii, in Hilo, Hawaii. We came back and actually had a tournament in Detroit, and we lost that tournament. We lost to a good team. And, I think it has something to do with it. If I had my way, I'd rather play, home games, so to speak, kind of get your legs up on it, maybe a couple more days off. Because I know how I was feeling, just getting up out of bed. I can only imagine as a player, but unfortunately you have to practice, you have to go through schemes to get ready to play a game.
Coach, when you left on Sunday, one of the last things you talked about after the game, those quick shots, which you took out of those two games in Hawaii. It seemed like that was a big deal in Saturday, in the first half at Detroit. Was that, when you notice that as a concern and then you go out and see it in the first half, was it frustrating?
Well, the thing is if you're shooting quick and you're not getting results, but if you're shooting the ball quick and you're getting good looks, you're getting to the basket, if they're not falling, that's one thing. But if you're settling for perimeter shots, one dribble pull-ups with, 30, 25 seconds on the clock, then that's different. But once again, offensive, you have to be able to play, you have to flow, you have to play with confidence. But do you have the looks, you got to take them. In the situation with the last game, one extra pass, two extra pass, you can get anything you want on the floor, and I think that's the biggest key. But you still want to remain aggressive.
And talking about being aggressive, it looked like kind of what brought you guys back was putting it on the floor and getting to the rim, and did more of that, it seemed, from the last 5 minutes, second half on, than you've done all year. You just talked about doing that, stressing that, and having guys who like Jordan really capable of that.
And you have the guys with the ability to do that. It's just a matter of, putting your head down, getting to the basket, being under control, and not getting charge calls. And I thought we did a really good job with that, not getting charge calls on us in that game, of getting to the lane. I thought, Jordan and Cam did a great job of just getting to the rim and finishing around the basket.
One of the questions you had the most during preseason was, where are the points going to come from? Offense, and lo and behold, almost 85 points a game. Is it further along than you had anticipated, or was this foreseen?
I think so. Because the first couple of weeks, the focal point was that defensive principles, team defense, and offensive was more skill development as opposed to set plays. I understand taking care of the ball, being under control, penetrating and pitching, and really not turning the ball over more than anything. But then we spent a lot of time on getting shots up, not necessarily plays, but three-point shots, penetrating, pitching, getting shots, and that sort of thing. So we did a good job with that. So I would say so offensively, yeah, especially when we're not getting a lot of production from a scoring standpoint on the blocks.
Can you just talk about Pittsburgh and the challenges just ahead on Saturday?
Physical team, tough team. Guys have been around the blocks, have been together for a long time. They understand what it takes to compete, especially to play on the road. And they'll grind you out on both ends of the floor. And they'll take what they're given on the offensive side, but they want to grind you out. They'll work their shot clock.
How do you feel Trayvon Goodall and maybe Trey Golden match up?
Well, you got to go get it as part of it. When you're trying to be the best, you go against the best, and that's how you size yourself up as a player. But it's not necessarily one-on-one competition. You know, it's more or less running your team and doing the things necessary for your team to win ball games. But I mean, I'll take Trey any day of the week.
How's Jerron doing right now, physically?
Oh, Jerron's fine. Jerron's fine. I haven't seen any signs of anything otherwise. He's fine.
Can you talk a little bit about his performance both in Maui and on Monday night?
I thought he did a good job. I think Jerron is really good when he's making his free throws because he knows how to get fouled. He gets to the basket. When he's making his free throws, he's tough to defend. You know, Monday was probably a case of not practicing because of the injury and wanting him being ready for the game more than anything. But I think he'll be fine.
Just kind of a good measuring stick for where the efforts put in physically, mental toughness type things in the preseason to get into a team like the way Pitt plays and, you know, hard screens, physical, dive on the floor type ball.
Oh, yeah, it's good. I mean, I thought it was good, you know, going against great competition in Maui. And then with the circumstances of travel and all that, to be able to go to Oakland and be ready to play. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, but just another measuring stick from a mental standpoint of being ready as a team when you have to go through something in an environment like that and really understanding what you're getting yourself into. You hadn't been through it before because that game was marked in their schedule a year ago to be ready to play. So I thought it was good for our guys to go through that. Then to get back, then to get up and go to class the next day and to be ready to go and practice today. So, I mean, I think it's good, but a very physical team. Once again, it's more of a mental approach than anything this time of year. Getting ready to play, understanding what you're trying to do, because we do a lot of physical things in practice, so it shouldn't be anything we hadn't seen before. I think it's more mental than anything.
Coach, what did you think about your guys' mental toughness? You got down in a snake pit, you know, with the fans and everything early by 14, and you came back and got you close to that. Did you know your guys could do that? I mean, you had a lot of freshmen out there who've never been down on the road.
Well, it was seeing them in practicing, you know, and realizing that we can be a pretty good team, but it's just a matter of going through things together as a team. Because once again, outside of Cam Tatum, he's probably the only guy that played a lot of minutes at this level. And I don't think it has anything to do with who's a freshman there, because everybody can play. But it's just you have to be able to play together as a team and make mistakes as a team, learn guys' ways, and more than anything, trusting guys. I think that's the biggest key on the defensive side of the ball. You know, trusting your teammates, understanding if I do this, somebody's on the backside ready to help me. Because a lot of times when you're playing defense, some of the assignments, it's a trust factor. You feel like you're vulnerable in certain areas, so you have to understand and know the guys on the backside ready to help.
And another thing about you only had 10 turnovers in that environment, you went with a freshman point guard playing a lot. How much, you know, West maybe earning more of a look, and maybe, I know you played demonstrate together a little bit. Is there even more of that?
I think we'll do more. We'll work on it more in practice. Today we had those guys a lot of times matched up against each other to really defend and pressure each other. Because West does a good job putting pressure on the ball, and Trey faces a lot of that in the game. But I think West has gone 4 games without a turnover, which is impressive for a young guy, especially going against some of the competition he's faced.
In your previous answer, you mentioned realizing we can be a good team. I mean, early in the year, you know, just how important it is for a young team, so it's that confidence level of, yeah, we can exceed expectations and those types of things.
I think so. And it's just a matter of those guys going through because they've gauged themselves against the so-called best and know they can do it. But once again, if you haven't had the reps under your belt at this level, you're kind of sizing yourself up against the competition, but you're also realizing that we are a team. We have to do things from a team standpoint. But I think the guys have done a good job. And now it's just a matter of taking that next step consistently on both ends of the floor as a unit.
You played a game in the 90s and one in the 80s. Would you like to be able to affect games more with your defense? Would you go forward?
Oh, without a doubt. And I think, you know, with time, our guys, because you work on those things in practice, the individual defense, the weak side defense, the trusting each other. But when you're scoring the ball at that level, I think the thing now is, you know, working the shot clock better as a team. That comes with time. It's not necessarily me saying make 10 passes, because you want guys to play with confidence. And also getting the stops defensively, you know, getting the big rebounds. We didn't get the big rebounds last game, and all of a sudden they get another possession, they get a shot. So I think for us, you don't want to play. I don't want to play at that level defensively. I mean, I like the 80 and 90 offense is great, but defense we got to do a better job of keeping that thing around the 60s.
Cuonzo, you talked about the individual defense a couple times now. How much of that is fundamentals and much taught, how much of that is, you know, guys are saying, this is my guy, I'm not going to score?
Well, I think with anything, it's just taking pride in being a one-on-one defender because, you know, you want to be able to stop a guy. The last thing you want to do is go in the locker room, your guys are teasing you about a guy scoring, 30-plus points on it. So for me as a player, that's the last. The technique is out the door. If I felt like, as a player, and these guys didn't hear me say this, but if I felt like as a player the technique wasn't working, I was going to stop my guy the best way I knew how. So I think that's the most important thing, just really taking pride in doing it. Because you do a lot of technique, and technique is always a team thing. But if I'm on the island one-on-one with a guy and I feel if my legs are a certain way I can guard him better, then stop him. That's the bottom line.
How much of that at Oakland was just matchups in certain cases, or how much of it was one-on-one defense, or was it just them kind of making plays if your guys not playing well enough? It certainly looked like the effort was there. Was it just matchups?
I don't, when you say matchups, I'm a point guard, you're a point guard, I got to be able to guard you. And that's the bottom line. I don't think there's no other way to put it. I got to stop you. You trying to stop me. It's one-on-one. I got to do my job because when you start maneuvering guys, you go over and guard this guy because he can't defend him. You move this guy, then you're in trouble. It's just a matter of time. Because when you scheme in assignments, teams run certain plays, and you're programmed to be here on a certain play. Now all of a sudden, I'm guarding the guy that's coming off for the shot, and I'm not the help defender in the scouting assignment. It's a little tough. So it comes down to the fact you have to be able to defend your man more than anything.
Coach Jordan back-to-back at 25. I know you talked about Luncheon offense, guys who can play do it on any night, but just talk about his development doing that consecutive games.
Oh, that's a good job. 25 is 25 points. I don't care who or where you're playing. And he's also shot the ball well, 5 for 7, I think, against Chaminade, and that's not an easy thing to do. But just him really understanding and learning the spacing of the offense when he's able to penetrate, and I think that's a good. When you have the spacing, now guys can use their dribble and get to the lane, make shots, and make plays. And I think that's really helped him just getting a feel for it and understanding. Because like I said, we don't come down and call a lot of plays. There's a lot of cutting and moving and spacing. And if you have those individual skills, then you have an opportunity to be successful.